Another year, another Best Picture that is surpassed, in my opinion at least, by at least two others, but was a safe choice. There's a method to winning Best Picture in the 1930s, and we'll look at that now. Roll them titles, here we go. The year is 1934. Yeah, there was no ceremony in 33. The last one was in November 32, and this one is March 34 because this is where the format is about to change. Anyway, the year is 1934. The first drive-in movie theatre has just opened. The chocolate chip cookie has recently been invented, and Adolf Hitler has been given complete control of Germany through the Enabling Act, turning the country into a fascist dictatorship. That was quite a tone shift. That got real dark real fast.
That escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Let's just look at the first film, which this week is the Best Picture winner.
Stormy weather, just can't get my poor self together.
Cavalcade is a home run, but it's a home run that was caught and returned to... You know what? The metaphor's broken down. What I'm trying to say is that Cavalcade is a great film, but two others were better for me. I'm not going to do a traditional review of this one. Instead, let's look at why it won. One surefire way of getting attention at the Oscars is to make what we call an epic. There are a few ways a film can be considered an epic, but in this case it's a huge production that spans a large amount of time and tracks the lives of a cast of characters over that time period as they experience major historical events. It's set in London and takes in the Second Boer War with the Siege of Mafeking, the death of Queen Victoria, the sinking of the Titanic, stay tuned for episode 70 for more on that, and World War I, with the characters' personal lives being influenced by these historical milestones. It was adapted from the stage play of the same name, and Fox Movietone even sent someone over to London to record the play so that they could use it as a guide. So you've got an expensive epic based on a popular play. That's like the definition of Oscar bait. Think about the modern day Oscars. What films are most likely to win? Until very recently, it's either an epic war film or a huge romantic drama or a period drama, something like that. There are certain things you can do with your plot, your cast, your release date, etc. that screams, I'm trying to win an Oscar. Make no mistake, this is a solid movie, but there's a reason I don't think it should have won Best Picture, and it's because for me, Cavalcade is in the same category as Citizen Kane. Technically it's great and you can't really fault anything. It's solidly acted, the cinematography is good, the writing is good, etc., and I can appreciate that. There's a reason that Citizen Kane is considered one of the best films ever. But again, that's for another episode. But would you rather watch Citizen Kane or Avengers Endgame? I know I'd choose Endgame because it's more entertaining, but it's nowhere near as technically advanced as Citizen Kane was at the time it was released. That's where the split in opinions comes in deciding what wins an Oscar. Do you go for the most entertaining or the most technically accomplished? On this occasion, the Academy went with the latter, but personally I would have gone with one of the others that drew me in and kept me hooked on the story, despite not being up to Cavalcade's standards as a piece of art. In my last video I talked about how Freaks was a movie about revolution. Well, this movie very nearly caused one. I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang is a film directed by Mervyn LeRoy, which you can watch faster than you can say the title. It begins with Sergeant James Allen talking about his dreams of the future with his army buddies before they head back home. His family meets him at the train station and we're immediately introduced to the central theme of the movie: control. James is determined not to go back to the factory he used to work in. In the army, where he has some degree of control, he tells everyone that he's going to go into construction when he gets home. But as soon as he's home, his old boss and his family immediately pressure him to go back to the factory, and he folds. This man is less free and less in control as a civilian than he was in the army. Unsurprisingly, this all ends up coming to a head with James quitting his job and going to find work in New England as he looks to put the skills he picked up in the army to good use. We see the literal value of these skills in this scene in the pawn shop. After he's travelled all across the country trying to find work, it's spelled out clear as day as the pawnbroker shows him that his work and achievements in the military are next to worthless in the real world. After meeting a man who says he'll treat him to a hamburger, James is forced into participating in a robbery in which the other guy is killed, landing him before a judge. One nice little detail that I noticed here is the timing of the banging of the gavel.
Which would of necessity increase the seriousness of your offense. I therefore, in accordance with the laws of this state, sentence you to 2 years of hard labor.
The number of years the judge gives him is drowned out, symbolising that it could be anything. That again, he has no control. He is at the mercy of an unfair and flawed legal system that can pass any sentence it wants, and that there's no point in even hearing how much time you're given, because if they want you to do longer, you're going to do longer. Thus begins James's time on the chain gang. But in another desperate grab for control and freedom, he plans his escape and successfully pulls it off, starting his life on the run, which he manages to make a success of as he becomes a big name in the construction business. But, and here comes our theme again, he's recognised by his landlady and is forced into an unhappy marriage, causing him to want to once again break free. Enter Helen. His ticket to a happy life, but also a complication, as he asks his wife for a divorce, causing her to turn him into the authorities, and just like that he's on the run again, until he hears that he'll be granted a pardon if he turns himself in. Yeah, that was a lie. Time for escape number 2. By the end of the film, he's a man constantly on the run, living in the shadows and stealing to get by. Remember earlier when I said that this film almost started a revolution? This is why. This movie goes hard on the legal system and prisons, calling them out for taking innocent men or people who have committed very minor crimes and turning them into hardened criminals. The treatment of prisoners, the increasing of sentences arbitrarily, the abuse of power, and more are all covered here. Being a part of the prison industrial complex in the 1920s sure is tough, huh? So glad none of that happens today. Yeah, all of that still happens today. The film had a huge impact on those who saw it. People began questioning the entire US legal system, and it even culminated in the real-life protagonist of this story, Robert Elliott Burns, and many other chain gang prisoners being able to appeal their sentences and get released. This film caused the public to rebel against the US government and secure the release of innocent men. Now that is the power of cinema. I'll tell you now that this is my pick for Best Picture this year. This film is testament to what can be achieved with a good plot and some brilliant performances. It doesn't have to be big and flashy like Cavalcade or send a message like I'm a fugitive from a chain gang. This is the film that you go to see and come out of the cinema thoroughly pleased that you watched it because you had a great time being enthralled by some top-draw performances and engaging story. We begin in Venice with our two main protagonists, Lily and Gaston, trying to con each other, and finding out that they are both thieves while still having a thoroughly pleasant meal together. The pacing of this dinner scene in particular is brilliant, and it's perfectly performed by Miriam Hopkins and Herbert Marshall. The two are locked in a battle of thieves as they each want to make away with the jewels they stole from a fellow hotel guest. They talk politely as they eat their food, pausing intermittently to reveal they've stolen various objects from each other over the course of the brief time they spent in each other's company, and fall instantly in love. We're then introduced to our other main character, the rich and beautiful Madame Mariette Collet, the owner of a world-famous perfume company, and her two suitors, Francois and the Major. The attempts at humour land pretty much every time here, and I think that's what's endeared me to this film so much. Some of the physical comedy and the dialogue kinda reminded me of Laurel and Hardy, who I've watched dozens of hours of. At the same opera as this love triangle is Gaston, and here we see the plot take shape. The plan, to steal the jewel-encrusted purse of Madame Collet. One thing I want to point out here is this time transition in which they summarise the opera they're watching.
Love you, I love you, I love you. I hate you. She hates you.
That's pretty funny. When Madame Collet offers 20,000 francs for the return of her purse, Gaston claims the money and, in the process, charms her enough to land a job as her secretary. With his new position, he manages to get Lily a job too, and the two plan to rob Madame Collet's safe as soon as she puts a large dividend into it. Unfortunately for Lily, Gaston begins to develop feelings for Madame Collet. He struggles to juggle his love for both and the idea of stealing the money. This all culminates in Gaston being revealed as a fake and Lily going behind his back to steal the contents of the safe. Upon finding out she's being robbed, Gaston tells Madame Collet it was he who committed the crime. However, Lily appears to say it was her, and that she can have Gaston. This scene is actually pretty funny due to the 180 Lily does with the money.
You wanted to buy him for 50 francs. Well, you can have him for nothing. And you,
Lily.
Leave me alone. You were willing to sacrifice 100,000 francs for her. And you paid 125,000 francs for a handbag. Well, you can pay 100,000 for him.
Somehow, Gaston actually manages to charm Madame Collet into allowing him to leave with Lily and the 100,000 francs she stole, and a necklace he pickpocketed from her. The two ride off together in a cab in a scene similar to their first meeting, in which they reveal all the things they've stolen from each other, with Lily revealing that she now has the necklace and the bag, and Gaston the money. I highly recommend you watch this film. The performances, particularly from Herbert Marshall, are great. The plot is engaging, the humour is on point, and everything comes together to create a film that would still be a hit today. This time I'd like to thank the Academy because this is the last year where the time periods are all wonky. From the next ceremony onwards, all nominations are contained within one calendar year, making it so much easier to work out which films are eligible for which ceremony. And as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment if you have anything to say. Stay safe, and see you next time.